Ripley certainly is a character to beat. From the very beginning of Alien, there's something special about her. So special, in fact, that they reused her for every single Alien movie that came out after the original. This is a bit overkill from my viewpoint, but looking at Aliens, James Cameron's pants-wettingly good follow-up to the Ridley Scott film, it's understandable why every studio effort at the franchise, outside of the hideous Aliens vs. Predators, features Sigourney Weaver as the character of Ripley. She is the heart and soul of the franchise, and the real reason why Aliens works as well as it does. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here, though. The real star of the movie is no doubt James Cameron's spot-on direction. This is about as tense of a science fiction movie as you can get, pushing the boundaries of puppetry and robotics to a degree that had been practically unheard of at the time. Studying the aliens themselves, particularly nearing the film's conclusion, is still an amazing and occasionally terrifying experience. There's plenty of great jump scares delivered by these creatures, and the film's tense climax makes for some of the best horror moments in recent memory. There is a real story around the special effects, though, and once again, it revolves around Ripley. After having been floating in space for about 50 years, she's discovered and awakened from hypersleep completely by chance, only to discover that she has to face the alien menace that she had escaped from again. Tailing along with a group of space marines, Ripley becomes a supervisor of sorts for the Jarheads, preparing them for the enemy that they've been charged with wiping out. Sigourney Weaver is incredible in this role, really stepping up her performance from the first film. She certainly has more to work with, as the character of Ripley isn't only fighting to survive in this movie, but is also fighting to protect a little girl that so happens to get thrown into the mayhem. This allows Weaver to show a bit more of a feminine side, as she becomes a mother figure to this girl. Ripley as a character develops and grows beyond her tough girl persona, and really seems to blossom into a woman through this relationship. But that doesn't mean she loses her tough-as-nails attitude either. It's not easy working with some of Cameron's screenplay, as can be evidenced by how cartoonish and ridiculous most of the Marine characters come across as, but Weaver really sells it. Every line is said with sincerity, and she's able to sell every corny one-liner with a grittiness and integrity that is incredibly admirable. There are so many things about this movie that are simply fantastic. The sets are enough to make your eyes widen in awe. The action is blistering and intense, but in the center is really a story about a troubled woman connecting with a traumatized young girl. A connection that shows them both that there's a reason to continue fighting for their survival, even when the odds are minimal. Some of the dialogue can really come across as comic bookish and infantile, as had been hinted at earlier. Though one-liners certainly have their place in this genre, when you're trying to follow up a class act like Ridley Scott's Alien, it comes across as a little off-putting. Saying lights out in a cool manner as you blow an alien's head off is not a natural reaction, especially after it had jumped out right in front of you. There's numerous moments like this, not enough to grind the film to a halt, but enough to make you realize that you're merely watching a really great movie as opposed to witnessing an actual event. All complaints that can be made are practically hushed away by the time the film ends. It truly is a top-of-the-shelf science fiction experience, and is rightfully considered to be one of the greatest sequels of all time. If you can stand some gore, and there's quite a bit of it here, this is a must-see, as is the Ridley Scott original, which I would recommend full-heartedly to anybody. 4 out of 5.